But here's the other thing. Why can't we admit that there's a certain amount of stereotypes that are correct and that people live with? And when everybody will accept positive stereotypes and no one will accept negative stereotypes. Everybody, like, you could say, oh, Puerto Ricans, such great dancers. You know what I mean?
And no one says, how dare you, sir?
There are plenty of Puerto Ricans that can't dance. And that is true. Who gives a fuck? Why not just say Puerto Ricans are great dancers without going, but let me emphasize this. Not all Puerto Ricans care for the art of dance. Matter of fact, I saw one that was dad dancing. It doesn't have to be. Nothing is fucking pure.
Yeah, but I would say most stereotypes, with the exception of a few, I would actually say we go, okay, we learned this as culturally, this is quite often, and then we use that as a blanket term. There's a couple in there that I'm going to say I just find untrue, and I have one in particular. Right. I think that there is a stereotype that people say Mexicans are lazy, and I do not understand it. I don't get it. I've known a lot in my life.
Here's
they
where
work
I think
their
it comes
ass
from.
off.
I think this is where it comes from. Is like they had a siesta. I mean, when you have a group of people that are known for sleeping 3 or 4 hours in the middle of the day, you're going to pick up that thing. Now,
but God damn it, did they make up for it? Is what I'm saying.
But I will tell you this: I've never been anywhere in my life that there was a siesta. I don't know if it was ever fucking true. I think it was hot certain times, so people didn't go shopping. So a guy said, "You know what? I'll take a long fucking lunch and maybe a little nap." But I don't know if the siesta was ever completely true.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly know. I've only been down Mexico way once. It seemed like everything was operational all day. I don't remember there being like a quiet time.
But where did we get siesta from? I know that I knew it when I was a little kid.
Right.
I know there was a fucking thing of they take siestas, and I remember his school like, why don't we take a fucking siesta? And the teacher's like, you're only here 6 hours a day. You're fucking taking recesses and breaks and shit. No one's getting a siesta. You had a siesta in kindergarten. None of you guys would stay still. Remember when they would try to force you into a nap?
It was a very antsy time for me. A forced nap.
I would like to say this. Do it now, and I'll fucking lay down in a heartbeat. I'll siesta with you.
I actually remember like a full-on daydream that I was having in the middle of a forced kindergarten siesta that I just couldn't sleep. I mean, I would look over and these nuts, some of them would be like fully asleep, and I didn't understand. Like, that's a weird kid who could just like be like, I'll just lay on my cot and go to sleep.
How about have you ever been to someone's house and it's like fucking 7 o'clock and then the kid comes out in his jammies, give Uncle Ronnie a hug, good night, and you're like, what?
Yeah, that's very strange.
Have you, none of you guys TV?
But I have a memory of laying there and just being like, oh my God, I can't sleep. I'm all restless. The kids are all just like sleeping for some weird reason. And I went into this full on daydream. And this is like crazy if you think from the mind of a 5-year-old that I was like really good at playing guitar. I came into class and I jumped up on my desk and I was like shredding on guitar. And everyone was like, what? We didn't know you could play guitar. And I'm just laying there like, oh, yeah, that would be pretty cool, right? Like, I don't know why that memory is so specific in my head. Well, I look over like, look at these dorks all sleeping.
I'll fucking light this place up with some real Eddie Van Halen style shit. I'm going to give you a positive stereotype that I'm willing to fucking challenge.
Okay.
And that's about the Italians. And for years, people will say, oh, the Italians are great cooks. The Italians are great cooks. There's not a cuisine that is as limited as the Italian cuisine. From pizza to spaghetti, it's the same sauce, no matter what they do. Now, don't get me wrong. Is it delicious? Yeah, it is. But it doesn't make you a great cook if you only make one thing.
So you don't think a dish is changed by the shape of the noodle, is what you're telling me?
They act like they have 100 different fucking dishes. They're like, would you like bow tie? Would you like... And you're going like this. Does it matter? It's the same thing. If I took a fucking piece of Wonder Bread, cut it into little stars, it's still Wonder Bread. I'm just saying this about the Italians. The one thing that you bring, delicious. Top of the line. But it also doesn't take a great cook to figure out how to make a sauce and then how to figure out how to fucking put noodles into water and heat it. It doesn't. It just doesn't.
It's definitely the first thing I think most young people learn to make. So that should tell you right there. Like, I know it was like the first thing I was like, well, I could make a pasta of any kind. I know that.
Have you ever been hanging out with Italians and they act like this? What do you want to do for dinner tonight? They act like there's a
thought,
a fucking reason to get into this, and you're just like, well, why don't you make some of your sauce and then put some noodles in it. Get some of that good bread, and we'll eat it up. There was these Italian kids in my neighborhood, right? Every fucking night, there would be fucking spaghetti on their plate. Either they were eating spaghetti or they had a side of spaghetti. Spaghetti was their potatoes, right?
Right. So they could have a steak and a side of spaghetti.
Exactly. The admiration that I had for their lives was through the roof. And I would say to my mom, there's spaghetti on the plate every night over there. Like, as a way of saying, isn't this something easy for us to copy? Isn't this something that we could land into so we wouldn't have to sit around and talk about lima beans for our fucking 45 minutes?
Picking between starch of rice and potato every other night.
Without even asking, let's see, do you think that Vito can make a fucking decent spaghetti or that he's just eating it by women?
I think that Vito has never made a sauce, and yet he finds himself to be like a connoisseur. Like, that's a good sauce. That's not enough seasoning.
First of all, that's a stereotype that does work. Everybody, all the Italians think that for somehow they have this palate that they understand spaghetti more than everyone else.
100%.
Yeah. Chris.
There's no way he cooks.
He doesn't cook anything.
No way. No. I think his mom's cooked for him, and then the girlfriend lived with for a while.
So you think he's never made
I have a feeling
a pot of sauce?
He basically dated Snooki. I would look at Vito, and he has the look of someone who cooks.
Yeah, he does.
But I also don't think that he has a grand appreciation of food. So I'm going to say, I'm going to join, and this is, we never go 100% in the same direction. Vito does not cook.
I don't cook. I've never made my own sauce, and I do find
sauce,
myself.
he just called it.
I do myself going to Italian restaurants and saying, "No, this isn't good."
Well, I first of all, if you have anyone that can make a decent sauce, and I do, and of course Gail does, Italian restaurants are always a disappointment.
Yeah,
because not that what they're making is bad, but again, it's not the same. And then the other thing is what. $150 for this? I just fucking ate it a week ago.
And I think whatever it is that your family makes, like if your family makes a red sauce, usually, then that's the thing that you're going to be pickiest about. And in fact, I often would find myself doing a cream-based sauce if I'm out because I'm like, this isn't something I do.
That's really funny. That's true.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to do that a lot. But now, here's the weird thing. I look forward to the summer because you can have like a light oil.
I like
with that. And then you feel like this.
A little sausage, a little peppers, a little oil.
Then you're
very
like
exciting.
I'm eating healthy tonight, you know?
Delicious.
This is very fucking light. Very
like as though the
healthy.
Tomato was the issue.
I think Italians are very smart about the way they prepare food, though, where when you go to a restaurant, your family didn't just make you wait 5 hours for dinner. And I feel like every meal I've had with my family, I've gotten there, I've been told to get there at like 3, and dinner wasn't served till like 7 or 8.
Well, you know, that's because here's the thing that you should be in the kitchen helping, and that's all part of the thing. And people are having a little bit of wine,
community.
Blah, blah, blah.
They don't let the young men in there.
You let yourself being pushed around. The Italians, more than any other culture, I believe, accepted the sensitive young man.
Yes.
Who.
And I also think that the Italians tend to allow men in the kitchen more often than even some other cultures.
The great Italian cooks mothers. They learn
Yeah.
from their grandmothers. The mother, Vito is ready to say, "Oh, you don't have to clean up. Let me get," because Italian women's will do that for you all the time.
Now, I had a friend who his grandparents, both Italian, both full Italian, both loved to cook. And eventually, many years ago, there was a fight about the space and who was cooking what and whatever. And he's like, I can't take this anymore. And he turned his shed into like a fully operational kitchen. So the two of them have separate kitchens. And they like sometimes will make meals together, but they'll each go to their kitchen
That's
to make
great.
their
That's
thing.
smart.
Or if one person is making the whole meal, it's like he's out in his kitchen, essentially.
Yeah, you know how some people like to have their own bathrooms? It makes sense that you have your own everything. You know what I mean? You have your own fucking parlor. You have your own kitchen. Just stay away from each other and keep this marriage together. For years, and I think that this helped, we had separate swimming pool. And you just go to your swimming pool. You know what I mean?
From the other side of the
This
yard.
way, if I had a wet towel or whatever, it's not going to become a big fight. I like to leave my towel wet for 5 minutes. Never like use the fucking towel at someone's pool and they just fucking take it away. And then, and you're just like, I'm not done with the towel. What the fuck?
This will be hanging up.
So Vito, no, you're wrong about that. You would have been welcome into that kitchen if you would have the right attitude. Here's the sad thing about Vito. He's not comfortable in the kitchen with the women. He's not comfortable in front of the TV watching sports with the men. He doesn't understand anything. He keeps bringing up wrestling no matter what happens.
He's like, what was that, a suplex?
I don't know why we got into the stair. I don't know how we got to this fucking
Molly
point.
Ringwald
Yeah,
was
Molly Ringwald.
Yeah, she's the reason.
She's the reason people don't like Italian food anymore. So look, this is very true. So we sat around and said that it was simplistic. It really isn't. I mean, to make the perfect sauce and make it perfect, it really isn't. But because you see how many places do it terribly.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You got to do what Vito's family does. You put a little fucking thought into it. Who are these rock stars coming by?
Oh,
Was
there's
it
a
Spike?
hubbub.
I think that was just Method Man's crew. That wasn't Spike.
Okay, then call me a racist.
On the
Okay?
air, Vito.
Here, we're just sitting around saying about stereotypes and how we're trying to bring them back, and there's a reason not to. I see a guy with a hat and glasses. Hi, Spike. I love your movies, Spike.
Vito, next time just say it, Spike.
Yeah, would that have hurt for you to fucking lie for me?
Now that I think about it, that was Spike.
Oh, God.
Thanks, Vito. Your fucking lie made us all look bad. And again, I'll say this about the Italians: they can't lie properly, and any cop will tell you that. Their stories are ridiculous.
Yeah. They're either way too over the top and too much explanation or way too cagey. Like, what do you need to know about that?